All right, good evening, everyone. This is Richard from Slow, Smooth, and Fast. So today we're actually reviewing the SUNPIE. If you're not familiar with SUNPIE, SUNPIE is a Chinese brand aftermarket headlight and other lights manufacturer. So what I have here is the headlight unit for a 2009 and that model year time frame headlight assembly. And from first look, I had already unpackaged this, and prior to this video, it's very well packaged, as you can see. Pretty good sized box, wrapped up in bubble wrap, wrapped again in some foam insulation. It was very well packaged. I got it on Amazon. I'll post a link in the comments. And I got it in a day. If you have Amazon Prime, this particular item was a 1-day shipping. I literally got it within 24 hours. So kudos to the company for having these readily available. Now, to the headlight. I've had SUNPIEs before. I've had them on my Street Glide a few years ago. I'm running one on my Sportster. I have a 2006 Sportster that I'm running a SUNPIE headlight on. And now I'll be running one on my 2009 Road Glide. So the unit's got some weight to it. It doesn't feel like you would expect a cheap knockoff to be. So there's that. Here's my factory unit, right? Still got it in the bezel. This is very lightweight. Halogen light bulbs. These are actually LED light bulbs, but you know, these come factory with halogen. And I'm an LED headlight person myself. I like the beams of light I can get out of them, so I've always gone with the aftermarket brand as opposed to the Harley Daymaker. I don't have experience with Harley Daymakers, so I really can't say, can't give an honest opinion on them. So, but as far as price goes, I spent $130 on this before taxes, and the Harley Daymaker runs about $700-800. So let's just say this only lasted me 2 to 3 years. I can buy another one and I still wouldn't even be at half the cost of the Harley brand. So me personally, I'm okay with that. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward. I'm gonna go ahead and try to assemble this body as much as I can. All right, and we're back. So I have to get a couple of Allen wrenches. The factory one is a 3/16 Allen, right? And then the hardware for the aftermarket is a 5mm Allen. Come to be expected from both. The 3/16 kind of fits in it. It's a little loose, so if you're careful enough, I'm sure you could probably use it for both sides. If not, I don't know how good this Chinese hardware is. If not, you can just transfer the hardware from the factory unit to the aftermarket SUNPIE unit. So we're gonna go ahead and start moving these, getting these brackets out. As you can see, these brackets right here, 1, 2, and 3, those are the ones you're going to be removing. All right, so the 3/16 wasn't quite working, didn't quite fit, and the size 5 was too big. And that one's too big, so I went ahead and got me some extra Allen wrenches that I had here, and it appears to be a 4.5, maybe even 5. Let me check. Seems that the 5 is too big, the 4.5 is too small. The 3/16, I'm sorry, the 5/32 is too small. I don't know, it's kind of in between sizes, I guess. All right, so looks like the Harley one, so I got me a 3/16 Allen wrench with the ball side, the ball end. That one fits fine. I don't know why the other side won't. All right, so I had to take a quick break there. These things were being kind of difficult. So, like I said, I'm using the ball end and a vice grip to kind of hold the end since it's a little short for any leverage. And I managed to get it nice and loose. So that's coming out. So let's go ahead and speed up through this so as not to bore you. All right, so those brackets are out. Here you go. You can see them. What we're gonna do is we're gonna transplant these into here and see how that works. Let's measure the two because they look like these are a little bit smaller to move around. They might not, no, they work. So these are a little snug in there. These are a little snug in there. Right, if you can, I guess you can put just a little bit of some type of lube on here. Some grease or something, just very thin film. Just so it does have a little bit of flexibility. These pop all the way in. These work really good. You know, we might just go ahead and use these. We can try them, see how they work. Just make sure, you know, you have these out. But you can tell the difference in length. Slightly different, not much. So when you put your new brackets on, one, make sure you have the bracket on. All right, so put that bracket on, go ahead and put this in there. Make sure you put it on the right way, fat side down, screw it on. All right, and you're just gonna screw it all the way down. I would probably try to make it as close as you can to this one. I'm gonna try this. Try the factory ones first because the factory ones, they don't fall into this. They fit the same on both sides versus the aftermarket ones. If you put it on the LED housing, they sink in there pretty good. And they sink in this one, they fit the same on both. So I'm gonna go ahead and push forward with these because these are already adjusted for the headlight housing as it's set in my fairing. So I'm gonna stick with these. If I have issues, I'm gonna come back and just replace them with these. I'm not worried about making another video because it's the same process. You just remove these, you use these to adjust your headlight aim. So just some food for thought if you find yourself in this position. All right, so when you're installing these, you gotta look at how these are ran on these. If I'm not mistaken, I wanna say that they were in long way. All right, you got a wide end and you got a narrow end. Judging by these, it looks like the wide end was installed this way, so I had it on backwards. So just like that, you can turn these while they're in the socket. It's not a big deal. So we're gonna go ahead and push forward with what we got. I'm gonna go ahead and use the factory items. I'm gonna see if they'll fit first, especially because I was having so much trouble with the equipment. So let's see if they're threaded the same, and if not, we'll have to use the aftermarket stuff, which they're not, and I'm not going to strip those plastic threads. So it looks like we are going to be using the aftermarket factory bolts, which are a size 5. Hopefully what they gave you fits, and it looks like they will. I'm tightening these down. Just remember, it's just plastic. So once you feel it snug, it's good enough, right? Just make sure it's not loose, and we're good. All right, so on these units, just be careful. They're a little snug right here. They're butted up right next to the headlights, so just be careful when you pull them out. All I did was give a nice little tug to the bottom. They came right out. Don't just yank them out. If you plan on saving these for just in case you decide to sell the bike, or maybe the unit fails for some strange reason, you always have your factory unit to go back to, and try not to ruin that. We'll set that to the side, and we'll continue with this. All right. I can already see where we might have some issues. This isn't going to sit flush on there. And I'm going to check the hardware on this new unit to see exactly how this fits. So this is the aftermarket unit, and the aftermarket unit sits nice and flush in here. So I may end up having to use the aftermarket unit. Let's see. If you can tell the difference between the two. Right there, you see this one's kind of canted sideways, and this one isn't. It's more likely flush, more or less flush. So like I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and push forward to see if I can make this work. If not, looks like I'm gonna have to go with this. We'll see how it goes. Moving along. So I got a good angle on this. It might be all right. All right, where is that last one? There we go. All right, so on this one, we'll go ahead and mount. Use that last 5mm Allen head bolt. Very careful. You don't cross thread the plastic. You're gonna want to do everything by hand, just for the sake of trying not to ruin this hardware and this backing plate. Once you feel it snug, there's no need to really go anymore because it's a pretty tight fit in here. So you don't have to worry about it coming back out, backing out itself. I honestly don't think it will. These are on there pretty good. And that's it. All right, pretty straightforward. There's no need to pre-assemble these. These already came installed on the backing plate, the headlight backing plate. So I was going to reuse the factory one, but the mounting is different. The mounting on the factory headlight, they're mounted from the rear of the headlights right here at the back side. On these LEDs, they're mounted on the front. All right, so that will essentially be covered by the bezel. As you can see here, this is the bezel that came with the unit. This is the bezel that came off of my Road Glide, excuse me. Very similar in weight as far as quality. The Harley one's probably made just a little bit better, but we're talking about splitting hairs here. Right, it only took a few minutes just to transfer the hardware. And basically, I'm gonna go to the bike. I'm gonna take my factory unit. That way I can have a comparison. It's dark outside. It's like 9 o'clock right now here in Georgia. So try to get a comparison of the two. And we can see just how good or how bad these are. We'll find out. All right, so for reference, here I have my Road Glide. I do not have any headlights installed, but I do have my Kustom Dynamics running turn signals. Pretty bright. I didn't know how much light they put out until you actually took your headlight off. They're not headlight power, but they're good flooding power if you find yourself down a dark road and need some extra light. These make good floodlights. They're also a turn signal. Pretty good. Get the quick flash because I don't have that load stabilizer. And they go right back. Some of the All right, so these are pretty bright. See if I can hit the high beams. I don't know if you can catch that in the camera. But that's about where you would normally see a headlight. And there's your bright lights. So these aftermarket LED headlight inserts are actually pretty decent. But again, I like the looks of an LED. These headlights are stock style, more like a floodlight, like a factory halogen, because it does have that floodlight background to it. So we're gonna go ahead and change them out for the LEDs, and we're gonna see where we stand. All right, so here we have the SUNPIE. The SUNPIE headlights. First look, again, I'm just holding this in the headlight area. These are not installed. We're gonna go ahead and see if there's really a difference between the lights. All right, so immediately I can tell it has that nice bright beam. I think these lights are definitely brighter, more crisp, so to speak. They don't flood as much, so the coverage is a little bit different, but it's a very crisp look, unlike the factory unit with the aftermarket LED headlight inserts. So that's how it would generally look. Pretty nice, pretty wide band. I think it's a little bit wider. It looks more crisp, like I mentioned before. A lot of that's due to the LEDs. Let's see what these bright lights look like. I wouldn't say the bright lights. Looks like one of my bright lights is not working, and that's why it does that. So we'll show you if you can see. I'm going to hit my bright lights, and you'll see that one of my headlights turns off. So I don't know if that's by design or what. What I'm going to do real quick is flip-flop those switches. I don't know if they make a difference, but I'm going to switch them. And if I keep having the same problem, or the problem moves to the other headlight, I will probably contact them and get these replaced. Because yeah, that is a little concerning. I didn't expect that. I haven't had that in my previous headlights. So we're going to go ahead and switch these connections and see if it makes a difference. All right, so this time only one is working. All right, so this time only one is working. I don't know if it's a malfunction or what, but the light, it definitely is right, but now I only have one headlight, so. All right, so they're both on. And my bright light's on. All right, so I had the wires connected in reverse. So obviously that makes a difference. If you run into that problem with these headlights, swap your wires, swap your connectors, and make sure they work. So there you have my low beams. That's about where you'd probably put them. There are your high beams. Definitely noticeable. I think my high beams offers more visibility than my factory unit with the LED, with the aftermarket LED bulbs. So for $130, I'm honestly impressed with these, and I'll give some follow-on reviews later, maybe 3 months, 6 month, a year intervals, we'll see. But I'll definitely follow up on this for reviews. I'm about to take this thing on a ride and see how it handles the vibration and stuff.